again, everybody. It's me, Madame Macabre, and welcome to another video. So for today's video, we're going to have some more real talk, and for today's topic, we're going to touch on something that was requested by a lot of you, actually, and that is dealing with the looming albatross that is loneliness. Now, loneliness is something that has gotten particularly more complex for those of us living now in the digital age, and it's especially hard for people who, like me and many of us in this community, who have very peculiar interests and hobbies, things that don't necessarily mesh well with the norm, so that kind of right off the bat sets you aside a little bit more, and then people who are wired to be more introverted have it even rougher. Now, loneliness is a very special kind of suffering, and unless you're fortunate enough to be wired as a very outgoing type of personality who just loves talking to other people, you're just a people person, if that's not you, there isn't really an easy fix for this issue. This is something that I have personally dealt with for a long time, and even now continue to deal with a little bit. It's funny because a lot of people would just assume that this isn't something that I personally deal with because I do these videos. I'm super outgoing with you guys. I'll be super outgoing at events. I'll talk to people when I go off and do things as Madame Macabre. But the reality is that's just sort of a character I can step into. It's hard to explain. It's when I am talking to you guys as Madame Macabre, I'm sort of the best version of myself. I mean, I am being authentic with you guys. It's more like it's a confidence I wish I really had, but can only really put on in certain environments. In reality, I'm just a normal, shy person with a blog. Honestly, I only have a handful of friends who are actually physically nearby me. I'm often very, very shy, and because both of my jobs that I work from home for both my YouTube and my other job, which means I don't go out a whole lot during the week because I'm working here, so my chances of meeting other people go down even more, and it's sort of compounded with the shyness, and it's just a big mess. What I mean to say here is, I'm not just going to be preaching about this topic to you guys as somebody who has no comprehension of what it truly means. Like, I've been there, and I'm still there in many senses, so I get the pain that comes with loneliness, and I get the frustrations that come from people who have not really had to deal with it or haven't really dealt with it as intensely, trying to tell you, oh, it's nothing, you just need to do this, you need to do that, because it's never quite that simple. You see, it's interesting living in this digital age, because as far as interacting with people, it's really a double-edged sword. I mean, we are now more than ever getting to talk to tons of people anywhere in the world, and I mean, I've made friends on every corner of the globe and all across the states, and it's great, they're wonderful friends, but at the same time, they're all very, very far away. Sorry if you hear shifting around. Artemis came in and is being a little terror. Now, before I go on, let me just clarify that I personally believe that online friends are real friends. I know that there are some people, they generally tend to be in the older generation, like our parents or our grandparents, but many of them will say that online friends don't actually count as real friends. You need to make some real friends. But the thing is, they just don't really get it. I don't know, maybe it's something that because it's not technology they grew up with, they can't really comprehend it, but those are real, living, breathing people who do actually care about you. They are just really, really far away. And that's part of what makes it really tough, because you can have tons of friends online who are far away, and you can be the best of friends and really care about each other, but just something about that distance. They are real friends, but the distance is also very real as well, and that can make it hard because, yes, eventually one day you guys will maybe get to meet each other in person, but those visits, at least from my experience, have never quite felt long enough, and just something about the distance of your friends being so far away the majority of the time makes the lack of anyone physically near you all the more unbearable. And loneliness can strike in two ways, both from the lack of friends and from the lack of a significant other. And honestly, this is something, once again, I can understand on both levels. It's really tough to perpetually be the third wheel, to see all your friends getting into happy relationships, yet you can't seem to find one for yourself. And it's not like they're trying to make you feel bad about it, it's just hard not to when everybody is sort of coupled off in the group and you are not. It just feels kind of awkward and you wonder if you belong. And it's like a really weird emotional place to be, because while they are your friends and you care about them and you are really genuinely happy that they have found someone that makes them happy, there's no question about that. You love your friends and you're happy for them. But nevertheless, some seeds of envy can slowly start to sort of take root in there. It's like you're still happy for them, but when you have friends who are like, say, the perfect happy couple that constantly posts all over social media, Facebook, whatever, and they just spam your feed with lovey-dovey posts, and you see that and you slowly start to get sick every time you see it. You grow more cynical and cold and bitter, and you sort of start to wonder, like, everyone seems so happy, why can't I find this? And it's really hard to juggle those feelings while still trying to be a good supportive friend. And this is compounded to be even more of a difficult situation for people who either have never, or at least not for a very long time, had a good relationship, if any at all, because then they don't really have anything to base it on, and it's just more frustrating and more difficult for them to be in. So now, for those of you who are currently in happy relationships, if you know you've got a friend who has been feeling a little down about not having a significant other and they're feeling a little bit lonely, you're not doing anything wrong by being affectionate and happy. Just sort of try and be mindful when you're around them, because honestly, if you're a little too overbearing with it around them and you know they're already feeling bad, you can unwittingly make them feel like poo-poo. So, you're all friends. Try and be a little bit conscious to each other's feelings. And the person who is feeling lonely, don't let your envious little feelings get so big that it affects the way that you're treating your friend. Nobody's aim here is to make anyone feel bad. So remember, every now and then, check your own behavior and make sure you're not unintentionally doing something that is going to cause waves in your friendship. I'm sort of getting off track now, but what I'm sort of meaning to say is, it's not inherently a bad thing to feel put off by seeing other people's affections. It's not a bad thing to feel a little uncomfortable with it, a little unhappy with it. It makes you feel bad, and there's nothing wrong with that. It doesn't become a bad thing until you start to let it affect how you treat other people. Going back to that again, I mean, honestly, a lot of the time, people who are posting all their, oh, we're so happy together stuff, they are not doing it to upset you, so please don't read into it that way. I mean, yeah, there are some people who will do that, see via the toxic friendship video, but for the most part, your friends who care about you, they're not doing it to upset you, so please don't let yourself become so bitter that you're going to start snapping and changing the way you behave to your own beloved friends. It's totally okay to feel a little uncomfortable when you're seeing everybody else be all affectionate and everything. Just, keep your own emotions in check, but you're not wrong for having them. But regardless of the type of loneliness you're feeling, whether it be the lack of a significant other or just wishing you had more friends, I get it. It's rough and it's not fun. And honestly, either way, it seems like regardless of the type of loneliness you're facing, there's always people willing to jump up and give you their advice that you never asked for, and usually this advice is stuff that sort of makes you feel worse. I mean, I get that the majority of these people are meaning well, it's just when it comes from somebody who's never really dealt with loneliness or who is wired in an outgoing way completely different, They just don't get it, and the advice isn't really viable. And at least when it comes to loneliness in regards to a significant other, I particularly hate it when people who are in very happy relationships and have never seemed to have trouble finding happy relationships try to tell you what you need to do to be happy as a single person. We've all known one or two, like, girl, I have not seen you single for more than a week or two. What are you doing telling me how to be my best, happiest self as a single person? You don't even know what it means to be a single person. You know the ones, and they'll so eagerly tell you that you need to learn how to be a happy single person before you can really focus on finding a significant other. Okay, once again, you have never been single long enough to find out how to be happy as a single person. And the funny thing is, a lot of people who have been single for a long time are already happy with the majority of the rest of their life. They're usually happy with their own places, their own jobs, their own stuff, their own independence. They're plenty happy being single. They just would be happier bringing someone into their life. Don't go telling them you just need to be happy being by yourself before you can find something. No. Have you ever been 100% happy single? And being single for a day or two with a crush low-key on the back burner that's gonna ask you out soon does not count as being single. I think other than this, there is just one more saying that pisses me off more. And those are the would-be well-wishers who like to try and tell you that you have to love yourself before anyone can love you. Shove those words right back down your throat and never put them in my face again. So are you telling me that people who have struggled with self-esteem issues or depression for their whole life, and they are constantly working and fighting to get better and to accept themselves, but they still can't completely love themselves because that's part of their illness, part of what they're working on, and they're trying so hard, but they don't deserve love because they can't fully love themselves yet? They don't deserve it. No one's going to be able to love them. Are you telling me that there's no one on this earth who would be willing to love somebody who is actively working on putting their broken pieces back together? If you truly believe that, you need to get the hell away from me. I know people just say this to try and make people feel better, but honestly, it just makes them feel worse because there are so many broken people who are trying their best. And yes, some days they can love themselves, but other days they slip. And I don't think somebody who is working on themselves but not quite there should be discluded from the possibility of being loved by somebody. And it's just a straight up lie. Don't lie to people, oh, you have to love yourself or no one can ever. No, there is someone who could love them as a broken person working on fixing themselves. It is possible. There are people like that out there. Not everyone is a prick who wants a perfect, glistening paragon of self-love and self-esteem and self-positivity. Not everyone is there, and not everyone will ever get there. But I strongly believe that there is still someone out there who could love them all the same. And next time somebody tries to tell you that garbage saying, just roll your eyes and don't listen, because they don't know what the hell they're talking about. Especially because it usually comes from people who, once again, have never had a problem being in a relationship and have never struggled with something like depression. Okay, saltiness levels might be rising a little bit, but honestly, it's because I have seen too many people I care about be hurt by sayings like that, and it just sort of makes my mama macabre, mama bear mode activate just a little bit. Now, moving away from romantic loneliness, more towards the platonic friendship end of loneliness, there's also plenty of unhelpful advice in this arena as well. Generally, your extroverted, outgoing friends will quickly tell you, oh, if you want to make more friends, just go out and make more friends. Right. If only I were outgoing and not shy, going into a strange room full of strange people in some strange environment that I may not have anything in common with or any interest. That sounds like a great thing. I'm not totally gonna skip out on it and just sit on my couch and not go. But again, this is not coming from a malicious place. Usually the friends who offer this kind of advice, again, they are just wired differently, and it worked for them, it really did, so they're just trying to be helpful. But as somebody who has dealt with these issues and who understands what it's like, I would like to try and offer my own advice for at least things that I have found to start working for me myself. Now, mind you, I don't have the answers to everything because, as I said, this is still something I very much deal with myself. The vast majority of my friends are out of state. I've got a handful of friends who are in state, but I still don't get to see them very often, especially because of my busy workload, and I haven't had a significant other for a while. So I get you guys. I get what it's like. So I'm not just blindly gonna shoot off advice that has nothing to do or comes from somebody who can't understand. Like, I got you. Personal tip number 1, stop shutting yourself down. I can be so guilty of doing this myself. And what I mean is being your own biggest obstacle when an opportunity presents itself to go out and meet more people. For instance, a while back, my friend Shadow Kisses invited me to go out to a karaoke bar with her. It was already late at night, I was in my comfy pajamas, and I just kind of wanted to stay in my comfort zone. You know, just watch TV, do what I always do, alone in my little cave. And she was like, come on, you wanna go sing karaoke? You love karaoke, let's go have fun and meet some people. And to me, honestly, it was a big step to get out of the mindset of shutting myself down and going, no, I don't want to go. Because honestly, in that moment, I really did not want to go. I just wanted to stay home and be comfortable in my little comfort bubble. But it was a Friday night, and I was like, you know what? I am going to not stop myself from going out and having a good time. And so I got myself ready, and I went out, and I had a great time. So the next time somebody invites you to go out and do something that sounds even remotely interesting to you, don't let your own insecurities or your, I think I would just be more comfortable at home, kind of self-shutting down. Don't let that control your decision. If you're kind of interested in going, go for it, experience it, do the thing. Tip number 2 is something that tends to be pretty obvious, but even still, not a lot of people necessarily do it, and that is meet your friends' friends. A lot of the time, we may only be connected to 1 or 2 people in our friend circle, but really, if we sort of expand it out, there'd be a lot more people we could meet and talk to and get to know ourselves. This is even more relevant to people who are, say, still in college and maybe even in high school, where it's just a big system of friends. Honestly, just ask your close friends if they have any other friends that you could meet, or if you've heard them talking about somebody but you don't know them so well, give them a shot. You never know who you might like. Tip number 3, just get out there. And I understand how this is very similar to the advice you get from the extroverted friends who tell you, just go someplace and meet friends. Well, it's different in the regards of you need to find a place that is going to be something you're interested in and somewhere where you will feel comfortable. So don't just go to any random thing like a coffee shop or a bar or some just standard place where people will tell you to go. No, look up local events that interest you. Do you like drawing? Maybe see if there's like a local artist meetup. Do you like gaming or tabletops? Your local game shop might have things going on. Do you like horror movies and things? There might be a local horror club or something. Just use apps like Facebook events and various things. See what's going on around, and if you are interested in it, there's a much higher likelihood that there are going to be people there who share your common interests. And that's the key to finding friends, stuff in common. And for those of you who have anxiety about this stuff, there's a way around this. Just when you're looking for events, find something in advance and give yourself time to sort of mentally prepare. That way it's a little bit easier when the event comes up rather than just committing to something the same day. And the final piece of advice I can offer you is, if at all possible, go to conventions. honestly, they are a great place to meet cool new people. Everybody there has something in common that sort of draws them all together. They're all fans of various things for the type of convention you go to, whether it be anime or horror or video games or comic books. You know everyone who's going to be there likes this common thing. And a lot of people are there with the open mindset that they want to make friends. A lot of people go to conventions to make friends. So there's tons of people who are in the exact same place as you, hoping to make friends. And honestly, it's a really, really good place to do so. So if you have the opportunity, don't shy away from it. And when you go to a convention, go with an open mindset of meeting people. Because if you're quiet and to yourself, it's, again, still going to be hard to talk to people. But if you see somebody who's dressed as a character you like or with a shirt of something you like, tell them that you like it, start a conversation. It's honestly a really, really good solution for those of us who are shy and introverted, because at least in my experience, con spaces, conventions, tend to be some of the few places where introverts can sort of become outgoing, almost extroverts for a day. Now, like I said, I am still working on this stuff myself, so I don't have the solution to everything, and I'm still working through my own stuff. But I hope that my personal tips that I've been trying for myself can help you as well, and I hope that just, knowing that there are other people out there who feel the same way you do helps. Because it can be really easy to think you're the only one who's all alone struggling, and it can feel even more lonely than the loneliness itself. But there are tons and tons and tons of people out there who do understand. And with that, I will go ahead and pull this video to a close. If you have anything that you would like to share, please do so in the comments below. If you liked this video, please consider leaving a like, and if you are new here and want to see more content varying from silly to serious like this such video, please consider subscribing. But that is all I have for you guys today, so I will catch you all next time. Bye bye!